Alright guys, so we are on to the next episode of Dragon Ball Super. This is episode 101. This episode is called The Impending Warriors of Justice, the Bridal Troopers, as, Topo and them say. So this was another good episode overall. I don't know, the Universal Survival Arc continues to be really good, but then again, like I've said many times, the Future Trunks arc, to me, did not completely fall apart until the last two episodes anyway. And, I mean, very clearly, we have to still have quite a few episodes left, based upon the, pace we are currently going right now. Alright, so this episode opens up with, a couple of things. First, we get the cliffhanger from the last episode, Goku versus Jiren standing off, but it's like, I knew... they've already cock-teased us, 5 times in the Tournament of Power here, where it's like, oh shit, Hit and Jiren are about to go, about to square up, and then, someone jumps in every time. So, Goku literally tells Jiren, hey boy, it's time to throw hands, let's go. And then Topo just comes out of nowhere and hits Goku with the Justice Flash, which kind of knocks Goku, off screen, and then Topo tells Jiren, all right, we're going to retreat. We're going to, restore some stamina. And then we're going to go let the 5 selected members that I picked from the Pride Troopers take care of Son Goku. Now, Goku is tossed over near to where KALE and KAULIFLA are. Now, in the end of the last episode, remember, we saw KAULIFLA, she had KALE. KALE was unconscious. And then her and Hit kind of jumped off screen after Goku showed up to distract Jiren, right? But when we're reintroduced to KALE and KAULIFLA here, Hit is gone. So Hit obviously went off to go, beat some dude's asses or something. Now, KALE wakes up and she has no recollection of, using any of her power. The Berserker transformation that she has, she had no recollection of it whatsoever. So Goku gets knocked down right near KALE and KAULIFLA again, and 5 Pride Troopers are actually there, and, they're there to take Goku down. Now, they're led, of course, by Casserole. That is the general, kind of like the, kind of like semi-robot-ish guy. We saw some scenes with him in between the Zen exhibition match and the Tournament of Power that really led me to believe, he would have, some kind of really impressive, long, drawn-out battle with someone. And, we do see a little interesting stuff from him here, but the biggest thing about him that I love so much is he shares the same Japanese voice actor as Joseph motherfucking Joestar from JoJo. And the second I hear that voice, I am rooting for this character. So I was obviously super hyped. All right, my boy Joseph Joestar, aka Casserole, is back on the screen, and he also has 4 Pride Troopers with him. He has Tupper, Zoirei, Coquette, and Kettle. So it's interesting because Casserole basically tells Goku, listen, us 5, we're gonna take your bitch asses out. And KALE and KAULIFLA, they kind of get drawn into it. Goku tells them, hey, maybe you guys should get out of here. Plus, KALE is very, frail when she's in her base form here. And KAULIFLA is hey, you bastard. KALE is stronger than you think. And it is interesting because KALE is kind of cowering behind KAULIFLA. And she's like, I don't like him. And it's oh no, KALE, come on. Goku is the boy. Come on, KALE, don't start that. And it's cool because KAULIFLA kind of builds up KALE and is listen, I'm really proud of her. She's my protege. And you see KALE gets really empowered by that, by KAULIFLA's praise. Now we get a quick scene of Master Roshi using the Bankoko Bikuri show to kind of ensnare a fighter. And then Ten Shinhan comes in, and it's actually interesting because the Crunchyroll subs here said new Ki Blast Cannon. Ki Blast Cannon, Tri-Beam, Kiko Ho. It's all the same thing. What's interesting is that they decided to go with Ki Blast Cannon now rather than Tri-Beam. Did Crunchyroll subs use Tri-Beam before? Because Crunchyroll subs are I don't want to insult anyone, but they're not the greatest because it uses such a weird mix of like Funimation dub terms, like true Japanese translations, and then not good translations. It's such an odd mix. They should have just went with all of the Japanese names, and then once Funimation would get the dub, then they would put in all their dub names for the dubbed version. But this is the Japanese version. These subtitles, I don't think they shouldn't be for the English names of the attacks. Like when Master Roshi uses the Bankoko Bikuri show, the Crunchyroll subs say Lightning Flash Surprise Attack, but the Japanese name is like it's like ridiculous. I would have to look it up, but it's like Lightning Circus of the Seven Kingdoms or some crazy ridiculous thing like that. Like I remember it's a really awesome name. But Ten Shinhan comes up and he says Shin Kiko Ho. Now Crunchyroll translates this as basically new Ki Blast Cannon, but okay, I've watched enough anime now to where like certain phrases I recognize. Now Shin, that's true, isn't it? That's not new, it's true. So what he's saying here is like true Tri-Beam or true Ki Blast Cannon. If I'm wrong with this, please, someone correct me. But I'm pretty sure the name of this attack is true Tri-Beam. Like, true Kiko Ho, true Ki Blast Cannon, whatever, and not new. Now, here we go. See, this is the thing. Like, I knew that we would get all of these fighters with brand new attacks in the Tournament of Power. And here we go. Ten Shinhan apparently has created some super powerful variant of the Kiko Ho, the true Kiko Ho. And one reason, like, okay, because it's the same thing, like, true Golden Frieza. Frieza calls himself Shin Golden Frieza. Like, it's, it's true. Shin is true. So, whatever. But Tien comes up, uses the true Kiko Ho, and he blows away the fighter that Roshi had ensnared in the Bankoko Bikuri show. So it was a great combo attack. Like, this does show how useful Roshi can be here in the Tournament of Power. Giving him a reason that he's here, even though, we really could have had, like, Gotenks instead. But whatever. So then at that point, Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, and Frieza actually all arrive back on the scene along with Tien and Roshi. The team had all gotten separated by Kale's, rampage, or Berserker rampage across the arena. It is cool because the arena now, it's like, it looks way more interesting. Like, the setting where they're fighting is way more interesting now because it's almost like, it's like canyons everywhere. Rather than just this plain, I just said plain. No, rather than this plain, flat surface, now we have like these rocky outcrops and, canyons and all this shit. That's really cool that they had like Kale's, Rampage Berserk attack, like actually change and mold the arena so that it's going to be more interesting to look at, as these fights are going on. So that's really cool. Now, when Frieza shows up, he actually eliminates the main fighter that we saw from Universe 10, Gowasu and Zamasu's universe. He's the guy with, he had the dots on his forehead like Krillin. I was actually surprised to see him eliminated here because he seemed to be like the big, like the big fighter that was being pushed for Universe 10, but evidently not. So the scene cuts back over and Goku is fighting Tupper and Zoirei. Now, Tupper is actually able to kind of change the weight of his body so that he gets, like, really heavy. And he kind of, like, gets Goku in a bear hug. And he, makes himself really heavy so that Goku can't escape. Now, what's interesting about this is, in this episode, Goku never goes past his base form. He just stays base form the whole time. So, evidently, Goku does not judge these Pride Troopers to be that much of a threat, or else he would have actually, raised his power up higher. Now, while Tupper's holding Goku down, Zoirei actually uses this kind of like, it's actually like Paikuhan's, his tornado attack where he spins around and stuff, and he's doing that against Goku. Meanwhile, KAULIFLA and Kale are being attacked by Kaket and Kettle. Now, Coquette apparently, I guess she's able, this is the girl fighter. We actually saw her fighting Android 18 previously. She's able to create what she calls like alternate dimensions, like a little sphere. And like inside of that basically, I don't know, it kind of takes you to a different reality, but like they don't actually like leave. So it's kind of like some kind of weird version of a barrier. It is interesting. I do like that Dragon Ball Super, you know, in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, almost every single fighter, it was just, oh yeah, they use ki blasts, they punch, they kick, they can transform. Like every fighter was the same. But Dragon Ball Super is actually having it to where it's almost like kind of like a, you know, a Naruto type thing, or like a different shonen anime type thing where, you know, all these characters actually do have kind of interesting and unique abilities, even though they are all still are just blown away by like Goku's, you know, overwhelming power. Just like the overwhelming might of a lot of these fighters, you know, overmatches a lot of these abilities. But it is interesting. Now, Coquette uses this little barrier to imprison Kale, so Kale is stuck like in this other dimension, unable to do anything. Meanwhile, Kettle creates all of these energy blasts all over. It's kind of like a rain of energy that is constantly hitting KAULIFLA. Now, KAULIFLA is also only fighting in base form. Now, I don't know, based upon the way things are talked about in this episode, I guess the reason why Goku probably doesn't transform is because he does want to conserve stamina and kind of, you know, recover some of his stamina, because he did take it up to Super Saiyan Blue in the last episode, even if he wasn't injured or anything. And we only do see KAULIFLA even go Super Saiyan when it's absolutely necessary here. Most of this fight, most of this episode, she's actually in her base form as well. Now, Casserole's not actually doing anything. He's kind of standing up there like, haha, we've done it. But it does suck that we're using 5 Pride Troopers against only 3 enemies. And it's great because 17 is like, oh, okay, that's funny, huh? And then Casserole's like, Nani? And boom! He just gets blasted by 17. And it is cool because 17 is, Casserole is like, what? You got behind me without me sensing it. And it's like, yep, that's because the Jinzo Ningen, the, you know, artificial humans, androids, they don't actually like have sensible ki. So again, you know, you can totally understand the reason why 18 and 17 are here in the tournament. Like they absolutely almost no matter what. Like even if you brought in like Paikuhan or like Cell, like you got really creative with bringing a whole bunch of different people in. Like I feel like 17 and 18 definitely are like top contenders for Universe 7, especially 17, who, I mean, I don't know for sure. Again, I'm not a power scaler. I would have to actually like really look into it in depth, but 17 is somewhere up there around like Gohan's power. And, you know, it is hard to tell like what the gap is between like Frieza and Gohan, but I do kind of think right now that like Goku, Frieza, and Vegeta are in like the top tier of Universe 7, and then I think Gohan and 17 are in the tier right below it. I think that's more of a closer way. Like, who's stronger between Gohan and 17? I'd actually have to check out some other videos on that. I think I've seen a lot of evidence that 17 is stronger, right? But again, I can't say that for sure. So 17 and 18, they start fighting Casserole, and Casserole uses an ability called Justice Saber, which is where he kind of turns energy into like, kind of like energy swords. Like he just takes his ki, and literally, you know what it is actually? He literally is using Kuwabara's attack from Yu Yu Hakusho, where he just creates, you know, his spirit sword with his spirit energy. That's what Casserole is doing right here. Now, what's awesome about this, and again, really shows how powerful 17 is Casserole does this, starts attacking them both, and 17 just looks over at 18, and then 18 flies away. So, clearly, Casserole is not a match for 17 by himself, and 17, I guess, judges this as probably does 18, because 18 then heads off to go help Goku, while 17 is battling Casserole. Now, 17, he takes all of the, you know, his energy sword and shoots out a big blast, and like it hits 17, and you know, he's like, ha, you know, I got him, I took him down, and the smoke clears, and 17 has used his barrier, which is really cool. Again, 17 used that barrier one time in Dragon Ball Z when Piccolo used the Hell Zone grenade against him, but now, like, now that we're in this setting in Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power, I do feel like this barrier, it is cool for him to be busting it out. And it is, again, kind of like a unique thing that he has. I mean, I guess Goku and Vegeta probably could do something similar based upon how they had, utilized their ki when fighting the Trio of Dangers. And then, again, remember, they had done a barrier as Vegito, and they probably might know how to do it. Although we haven't really seen Goku and Vegeta do much outside of the little energy barrier they created to protect against, it was Lavender's poison. So 18 shows up to help Goku, and she kind of just bodies Zoirei and Tupper. Like, they just get fucking blasted away. 18, starts shooting blasts at, it's Tupper. Tupper's the one holding Goku down. And, he has to, jump off Goku because, he says she's ruthless as she keeps shooting blasts at him. Then he jumps into the little twister attack with Zoirei. But, that doesn't, 18 and Goku, they just basically stop it. Tupper, kind of turns into a ball and shoots at 18. But, it doesn't do anything to her. She's completely unharmed, catches him, and then basically just tosses him out of the ring. So he is then beaten at that point. So 18 has now, bodied a ton of fighters here in the Tournament of Power. She actually does eliminate one more in this episode, but I believe as of right now, she probably has the highest kill count, at least. Well, I guess maybe kill count's not the proper term, but, she has the most, fighters knocked out of Universe 7 after this episode, I believe. Now, Zoirei tells the other three Pride Troopers that Tupper was defeated. So the four of them, they all congregate on KAULIFLA and KALE because Casserole deems that they're the two that they can take down. Whereas obviously, they saw that 17 and 18, they don't fuck around. They're actually 17 and 18 are a real problem. So what they do is Colette actually creates this big, again, the alternate dimension barrier type thing. She creates it around the entire area where they're fighting KAULIFLA. And it is cool because, so basically Colette has created a big, dimension barrier, surrounding the entire area that the four Pride Troopers and KAULIFLA and KALE are in. And then KALE herself is also still contained in a smaller version inside of the bigger version. Now, we do see 17 and 18 shoot some blasts at it, and they're not able to get in. Goku tries using the instant transmission, but he's also unable to do that as well. He cannot sense ki inside of it, and 17 does tell him, yeah, it's probably an alternate dimension. Now, at this point, KAULIFLA is basically, taking a bunch of hits from all these Pride Troopers, and KALE is oh no, One-san. Again, they're not actually sisters. One day, people will be able to learn to, actually use common sense and understand that they're not fucking sisters. They can call each other Oni-chan and Oni-san and Ni-san all fucking day. That doesn't mean they're actually literally brothers and sisters. Now, this is really cool because KALE is really obviously super concerned about KAULIFLA and is no, One-san. And, KAULIFLA looks back at her and is yeah, don't you worry, KALE. I'm going to protect you, my precious protege. And it's so good. I was actually this was a scene I was oh, fuck. I was really, really getting emotional and getting into it. Because you see KALE, she starts to get really mad at herself. And what's interesting about this is she literally says, I hate myself. I hate how I am. And she actually is able to transform, and she goes Super Saiyan. You see, it does look like she gets a little taller. She definitely gets more diesel, but she's not in the Berserker Super Saiyan. So she channeled her hatred not at other people, but at herself. She transforms, breaks free of the little dimension, and, is now going to protect KAULIFLA. Now, this is really cool because, remember, she went Berserker because she was super mad and angry at Kabe. She went Berserker when she was super mad and angry about Goku. But now, this time, she channeled that hatred and anger towards herself, very similarly to how Vegeta went to go Super Saiyan for the first time, remember, as well. And KALE actually goes Super Saiyan here. Now, this to me, this does look very similar, a same thing as a Broly type. Okay, I'm going to do another comparison to Broly. Not necessarily it's kind of okay, so Broly had his base form. he had a Super Saiyan form, and then he also had his legendary Super Saiyan form. Kale has her base form. She has a Super Saiyan form, which she utilizes right here, and then she does also have her Berserker Super Saiyan form as well. So the 4 Pride Troopers, they utilize all of their powers. They, combine the 4 of them and use the United Justice Beam, and they shoot a blast attack at Caulifla and Kale. Caulifla and Kale counterattack with 2 blasts of their own, but they're being overmatched, and it's awesome. It literally, like, the shots they use are, like, very similar to, like, Trunks and Vegeta using the father-son Galacon. Like, I guarantee you, this is going to be a card in Dokkan very soon. By the way, so when Kale and Caulifla were released on Dokkan, I was, like, pretty disappointed because I was like, wow, okay, so this is probably, like, gonna be all that they're, like, all they've shown in the Tournament of Power. I didn't think they would release Kale and Caulifla in Dokkan without actually having shown all of their tricks. Like, I figured they would have shown, brought these characters out once, all of their abilities were utilized, but that was not true. My theory was wrong there, because we see, obviously, Kale does have her Super Saiyan transformation here, and Caulifla and Kale are using this, protege, master apprentice attack right here. This is definitely gonna be a Dokkan fucking card. You best believe this shit. I don't know what it's gonna be called, but this is really badass because, like, again, it's kind of the way the shots are done, it's very similar to the father-son Galacon that we saw Trunks and Vegeta use. And, like, Caulifla is kind of like, like playing the Goku role, like being motivational to Kale, like, do it, push through, follow your power to the end. And you actually see Kale focus, and she actually takes it up to her Berserker Super Saiyan form, but she is in control of her power. And then at this point, like, Kale and Caulifla's power combines, and they create almost like their version of the final Kamehameha. It doesn't look similar because it's almost like, it's like the beam, Caulifla's blast is red and Kale's is green, and it's kind of like a spiral of this red and green energy. Really, really awesome. I saw someone on Twitter dubbed it the Candy Cane Kamehameha. Obviously, like, I do like the idea of naming it after a candy cane. That's really cool. But the blast is so powerful. Obviously, Kale's Berserker form is incredibly strong that it actually removes Tupper. No, not Tupper. What is his name? Okay, Zoiray, Kettle, and Casserole all 3 are knocked out and, removed from the Tournament of Power by this blast. I was very disappointed that Casserole, that's all he had to show us. I thought for sure that there would be more to his character, but no, he's fucking done already. Now, Kakette, she's actually able to protect herself by creating a new little barrier, but it's hilarious because the smoke clears and she's like, I'm safe in this barrier, and 18 is like, oh, okay then, and she just picks her up and tosses her out, and she gets defeated as well. And it's like, bro, what? 18 has bodied everyone in the Tournament of Power. So badass. And Goku walks up to Caulifla and Kale because, obviously the dimension is knocked down, though all of those Pride Troopers have now been defeated. So 5 of them just got bodied in this episode. And Goku's like, oh, is Kale okay like that? And Caulifla says, yeah, she has this ultra super power completely under control. And so Kale is able to control her Berserker form now. And she kind of, like, reverts back to her base form. She is out of power. And then Goku, 17, and 18, they actually let Kale and Caulifla go. And Caulifla's like, are you sure you want to let us go? And Goku's like, yeah, you guys are going to get a lot stronger. I definitely can't wait to fight you, Caulifla, when you're Super Saiyan Blue. It's coming soon. I can't wait. Fuck it. I don't give a damn. I want to see Caulifla fuck Super Saiyan Blue. I want Caulifla to get the next form first. That'll really piss people off. That will have me dying laughing. A new transformation of Super Saiyan. Caulifla does it first. Then Goku and Vegeta see it and they're like, oh, cool. And then they eventually attain it as well. That would be the best. But Caulifla and Kale go away. Kale she reversed her base form. She's unconscious. She, has used so much power. They go off. And 18 is kind of like, should we really let them go? Everyone outside of Universe 7 is our enemy. And 17 kind of laughs and he says, well, it's a very human thing to do, huh? Obviously, talking about their, path to being like not asshole androids anymore. And then the episode ends with Brienne de Chateau of Universe 2 actually overlooking Goku, 17, and 18. And obviously this will lead into the next episode of Dragon Ball Super, where there's going to be a lot of fighting with Universe 2, and specifically Universe 2's Brienne, who we saw in the intro fighting Vegeta's for so many episodes. So definitely looking forward to that. This episode was really good. Kale and KAULIFLA remain incredible. I'm hyped. Dragon Ball Super is still good. No complaints from me. I'm good. I'm satisfied. Very, very satisfied.